Your top stories this week. Photographer uses student to get closer to fling. Fiancé continues to dig his own grave. A suspect meetup is arranged for those searching for a con artist. And garage owner collapses after taking internet drugs. Hello, this is Coastal News, an unofficial home and away podcast where we dissect the latest week's episodes and discuss the happenings and residents of our favourite fictional town, Summer Bay. Now, Matt continued this week to keep her finger held firmly on that self-destruct button, didn't she? Turning her one night of chance stars crossing, chance happening with Emmett, the photographer, into a 2, potentially 3 night thing. Is she doing this deliberately to wind Dean up, who's highly strung about the whole thing at the moment? Rightly so. She's becoming a little impossible for him, actually. And how he's not sort of told her to rack off yet, I have no idea. I think I would have done. He has got really, patience of a saint, has Dean there. But yeah, Max, she's going there with Emmett again. She's goading Bella. Dean's had that serious conversation with her about, how important this internship, this photography thing is for Bella. But Max, she looked like she was taking it on and had a little bit of the old Mac in there somewhere when he was sort of telling her off. But then she went straight into this new Mac that we've got, where she just said, forget it, I'll do what I want and I'll do it with who I like. So whilst it's fun to watch, as a viewer, but she's definitely still on that self-destruct button, and Emmett's just another pawn in the game. Okay. From his side, though, I feel a little bit for Bella here. He using this exhibition that he's give Bella this fantastic opportunity to take part in, and she's really excited about it. But is it all just manufactured so that he can be in the bay longer, just to be around Mac and to get into Mac's bed as often as he can? Not quite holding out a decision on that yet, but it definitely seems that way, and I think Bella knows it deep down, but she's just taking the opportunity as it comes. There's already been this sort of debate about, she's only really on the internship because of Nico, and she's sort of a byproduct of him being included in it all, and he's the real star. She's got no talent, that whole thing that went on last week. So she seems to have thrown caution to the wind and just thought, I'll just take this opportunity, and it's an exciting one, right? But Emmett does seem to be using her, in my opinion, at this moment. It'll be interesting to see where that goes. It is actually giving this modelling thing a bit more of an interesting twist alongside the potential eating disorder storyline that Nick's going through. We spoke about that on last week's podcast initially, and we saw more of that in the episodes this week as well, with his stepped up gym routine. But that and this Bella's side with Emma is making it a little bit more interesting, because it's including Mac into it, other than us just sort of following around the big evil Sienna all the time, which, as you know from last week, really just turns me off. So it's keeping me a little bit more interested in that side of things for Bella and Nick at the moment. So looking to see where Emmett's story with Mac unfolds, more than how Nico's career takes off. Now, Rue is taking a back seat from Summer Bay High, which I know for many of us fans, the lack of explanation as to where Summer Bay High has gone and why Rue is never at work has been hot topic. So absolutely delighted to have some form of even half explanation as to why Rue's not going to the school every morning anymore. She's cut her hours back and she's helping out Alf. He looked a bit crook the other week. He seems a little okay now, but things were getting on top of him. She's running the bait shop. Solo now that Tane's got his job at the gym, which we'll come on to later in the show. But yeah, Ruse seems to be coping fairly well. She's had to ask for help. She doesn't like letting Dad know. She doesn't know what she's up to. This is a bit of a fall from grace for Rue. She's an international, party planner, lived in New York for years, and now she's running a little bait shop in an outback town in Australia somewhere. Is this going to be enough for Rue? I do worry that Rue herself might end up having a bit of a Christian midlife crisis at some point down the line. I just don't see her spending the rest of her days in the bait shop, opening and closing the bait shop all the time. So is this going on to something later down the line? Are we sort of laying the groundwork for something bigger down the line for Rue? I really hope so. Rue really needs some story right now, okay? And I love Rue. And yeah. In the meantime, though, we're happy to see her in the bait shop, and we'll absolutely take an explanation as to why she's not at school all the time. Now, I loved that line. Rue had one of my favourite lines this week. She was walking along the beach with one morning with Marilyn, and she said, "The early bird catches the worm," and then Rue replies, "Well, in my case, the early bird sells the worm." Couldn't help have a little chuckle to that line this week. But yeah, no. Marilyn had more scenes this week. We didn't see Marilyn last week, so I love their sort of family dynamic with Marilyn and the Stewarts. So really nice scenes this week from those. Right, Christian. Let's unpack this, okay? Getting quite frustrated with him. He skips lunch with Tori earlier in the week, as we see. She's really, really upset, Tori, actually, when she visits the hospital to find out he's just not bothered turning up to lunch because he's having a really enjoyable chat with Rachel, the patient from the skydiving accident last week. I really, I'm trying to sort of keep a sort of balanced mind and a balanced view on this, but I cannot help it. I'm falling inside of Tori. I'm putting myself in Tori's shoes more than I probably should because of what Christian's been through, but I would be absolutely fuming if I was Tori and he wasn't really giving me the explanation. She's still not had an explanation as to really, as to why he was at that skydiving place, why he feels some sort of cosmic connection to Rachel, which Rachel looked like she found at one point this week when he explained that to her. She found that quite a bit odd, but then did like a complete 360 and thought maybe I was there for a reason as well, blah, 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 blah. If he ends up having an affair or anything along those lines, I am going to be frothing at the mouth. I'm not going to be pleased at all. So I'm really nervous where their story's going, to be honest. And that moment where Tori's at the the doorway of her room, a hospital room, and Christian looks like reluctantly introduces her, but I'm sure it wasn't that too reluctant. He introduces Tori to Rachel and says, this is my fiance. And Rachel says, "Oh, you never told me. Congratulations. When's the big day?" Tori should have said today. Actually, it should have been today if it wasn't for you. She's not like that, but that's something I would have done, and that would have been something I would have loved to have seen. Actually, Tori just sort of tell her, why is it like this? And I know it's not Rachel's fault, but it seems to be. She is becoming as dependent on Christian as Christian is on her, and I'm not liking. They're going to have this shared what's the word? This shared cosmic connection, this experience they've shared together. This sort of weird, like they always say, twins have this sense, this sixth sense. Are they going to be shutting Tori out now? And then because she doesn't understand, but Rachel understands me completely. I'm not here for that. So Christian's in the bad books again with me. I'm not sure about you, but from what I've been doing a quick read online, generally it's the same reaction all around from most of us. So we'll see where that goes. I absolutely loved Jasmine when she was trying to say to him, "You're not on call, you're supposed to be getting married today. Get your ass home and get to your wife or your wife-to-be." Absolutely love that. She didn't say it in so many words, but that's what she was telling him. I'm really glad Jasmine is sticking up for Tori in this respect. Shows how strong their bond is, which we all love. And so at the end of last week's podcast, we sort of touched on Mr. President, aka John, getting his random text message from Susie. We're not really sure if it's actually Dodgy Steve-O, as we've now branded him, or Stephen, and it's looking increasingly like it is him. There seems to be these scenes where a text is received by John and then suddenly Steve-O comes from round a corner or whatever. So definitely it sort of got to the point where I'm thinking it's him, absolutely. And they go this week with Leah, getting all excited. She's going to finally meet up with us, which just looked like somewhere in the bay. It didn't look very secluded at all. It was a bit strange. And she doesn't turn up, and that's because Steve-O, Dodgy Steve-O, he's with you, John. It's definitely Steve. I am convinced now it is him. He's been sent, he's the one working with Susie, he's been sent to throw them off the scent. The PI that they've hired is clearly just a mate on the phone. And if you remember, casting back to when Susie was in town, she was on the phone to somebody all the time, giving them updates. So was that Stephen that she was on the phone to? It was actually one of the big promos for the show, I've got a lovely couple on the hook, when she's on the phone. So she's definitely involved in this. Steve is sort of a distraction, try and throw them off the scent. I think he's failing miserably, actually. He's gained their trust again, which I'm surprised they're not wary about, considering what's just happened. Leah's lost 90 grand to this woman, and she's just willing to accept another stranger coming along to help, without being wary and suspicious and guarded. John was more guarded at the beginning, but he again seems to be naive again, and I'm worried that if it all comes out that he isn't helping them, how's John going to take it? He's going to feel a right fool again, even more so now he's allowed it to happen twice. So will we see Susie again? I don't know. I feel like we need some developments in the episodes coming up this week with this, because we've spent a week texting her, or texting Dodgy Steve-O, should I say. So let's see what happens. We need a development this week on that one, but I'm excited about that storyline, so we'll see how that goes. Right, and I've got to talk about Justin here. Justin's web of lies continues to deepen. Ziggy has tried to lean on him as a friend and ask for her job back. He's still being erratic in his behaviour, clearly, because Leah's thinking he's turned a corner. He's much happier, but by the time Ziggy reaches him, he's popped some pills and he's completely flipped. He's done a 180 and he's an absolute dragon. He is doing my head in. He's a fan favourite and he is absolutely just a nightmare at the moment, and I've got to sympathise with him because he is struggling with this addiction. He's not really with it. But the way he's treating Ziggy, and I just love Ziggy. This is why Ziggy is such a strong character. She knows it's wrong. She knows there's something going on. She comes back and she says, "You know what? You're talking to me like crap, and I'm not gonna take it. I have been there for you." And this is how you talk to me, and this is how you treat me. And it didn't get her any further, obviously, but I'm just glad that she stuck up for herself, and you know, just went back and just told him how it was. Absolutely, of all the people that would do that in the bay, Ziggy is one of them. So good on you, girl. Absolutely. He's now, as we saw at the very end of Friday, he's collapsed. He's bought these strange internet drugs, and we don't know what's in them or anything. He's collapsed. Leah's found him, and I'm assuming then we're going to start the week next week with him rushed to hospital. What a plonker is what we're all saying to the telly, right? What an idiot. Why is he doing this? But, he can't get his prescriptions. He's going to get found out. He's hiding all that behaviour now at work, rather than at home. He's showing Leah a different side to him, and he's doing all the bad stuff out of eyesight and earshot, and this is, typical addiction behaviour, right? Everything out of eyeshot, but it's getting worse. I imagine when they discover, what he's taken and what he's done, he's gonna need some serious help. I'm thinking he might be off to rehab at this point to get him some serious help. He needs it, and I hope he gets it. To be honest with you, he's got a great family support there at the Morgan household. Let's hope that they all rally round. I know Tori's got a lot going on with Christian, but I just hope Leah will support him, won't she? Let's hope so. Speaking of the Morgans as well, I've got to mention just very briefly, Tane at the gym. What a great fit, eh? I'm so glad he got, Mia sorted him out at the gym. Absolutely creased the first time the phone rings and he answers it. You're speaking to the gym. My name's not Jim. You've called the gym. He's come good, hasn't he, Tana? Isn't he a nice bloke? He's so understanding with Ziggy and all her Dean drama as well. But yeah, he's going to be great at the gym. He's cottoning on to Nico, isn't he? With the whole excessive workouts, he's a little worried. Not too much at this moment to take any action, but at least we know Tane's switched on enough to think, what's Nick up to. So we'll watch that unfold. That's a developing one that we'll keep our eye on. But loving Tane at the gym. I wonder if he will go on the same pilgrimage as Willow did. Getting qualified to be a PT. That would be great if he did, because I think he really deserves some happiness in his professional life. Right, that's all I've got time for this week. Been quite a packed episode, thanks for bearing with me. I'll be back next week for another podcast episode of Coastal News, an unofficial podcast for Home and Away. Thanks for joining me. If you want to carry on the conversation with me, we're now on Twitter, so we can sort of share opinion and discussion during the week, so you don't have to wait till next weekend and the next episode. Then you can follow us on Twitter at Coastal News Pod. Until then, thanks for listening, and I'll see you next week.